Mom, Dad, I've changed my mind. I'm willing to go back to New York City and marry Miss Vanderbilt, the one in the coma, as a gesture for her recovery. I arranged my wedding to another woman without telling Sophia, my girlfriend of 7 years. Sophia, Rachel, and I grew up together. I fell for Sophia the moment I knew what love was, and Rachel, my other childhood friend, was like a sister to me. We had always been incredibly close. That all changed when we were caught in a flash flood during a trip. The adopted son, Ethan, falsely took credit for saving them, lying that I had abandoned them to save myself. From that day forward, they favored him in everything, joining him in tormenting me. I tried to explain. I fought to make them see, believing that one day they would recognize Ethan for who he truly was. But they never did. All I got in return was one painful blow after another. I was exhausted. My only wish was to leave and never see them again for the rest of my life. The wedding was scheduled in 2 weeks, and I told my parents I would be home soon. Just as I hung up the phone, Ethan, the adopted son, showed up. The moment I saw him, my gut told me trouble was coming. I wanted to run, but it was too late. Daniel, I'm begging you, just leave me alone. I never knew your parents would find me to be your replacement after you went missing. I didn't mean to steal your life. With a splash, he was in the water. The pool was right there, and Ethan had just thrown himself in. Over the past 3 years, he had pulled similar stunts, framing me for his self-inflicted drama more times than I could count. I had gone from scoffing at his antics to being utterly exhausted by them, trying to avoid him at all costs. I needed to get someone to pull him out immediately, to end this ridiculous charade before Sophia and Rachel saw. If they did, no explanation I could offer would ever be enough. But Ethan had timed it perfectly. The moment he hit the water, my girlfriend, Sophia, came running. How could you become so cruel? Her eyes were filled with disappointment as she and her bodyguards dove into the pool after him, not even giving me a chance to speak. We had been together for 7 years. She was the person closest to me in the world. Didn't she know who I really was? Why did she believe Ethan every single time he claimed I'd hurt him? This wasn't the first time she had misjudged me, but no matter how often it happened, I could never get used to the sting. Swallowing my frustration, I knelt by the edge of the pool, wanting to help. But then Rachel, my childhood friend, heard the commotion and rushed over. She kicked me furiously from behind, sending me straight into the water. If anything happens to Ethan, I'll make you pay. Rachel's eyes were bloodshot as she glared at me, a look of pure hatred on her face, as if she wanted me dead. I didn't even have time to feel the pain of her betrayal before the water closed over my head. My limbs grew weak, my heart pounded, and my mind went blank with sheer terror. Help! Help me! I'm going to drown. I flailed in the water, screaming in terror. Rachel just watched me with disgust. Keep up the act, she sneered. She stood right there on the edge, refusing to lift a finger. Sophia and her bodyguard swam right past me, dragging Ethan along, deliberately avoiding my desperate grasp. They frantically pulled Ethan from the water and rushed him to the hospital. No one gave a second thought to me, the one who was terrified of water and couldn't swim. I swallowed mouthful after mouthful of chlorinated water until I had no strength left to struggle, my body sinking helplessly to the bottom. In that moment, I hated Sophia and Rachel with every fiber of my being. I hated them for their blindness, for letting Ethan play them for fools. I hated their cruelty. One was my girlfriend, the other claimed to be my sister, yet they both watched me die. Most of all, I hated myself for enduring their abuse for 3 years before finally deciding to leave, only to end up like this. I could only imagine how devastated my parents would be. As a torrent of thoughts flooded my mind, and I thought it was the end, the house cleaner happened to see me and called for help to pull me out. I coughed up mouthfuls of water, gasping for air, too weak to even stand. The ambulance rushed me to the hospital, where I learned I had a fever of 104 degrees and had developed pneumonia from the prolonged exposure to the freezing winter water. Delirious with fever, I drifted into dreams of the past. I remembered being stolen as a child by my family's enemies, left in a ditch, and eventually found and raised by a kind, intellectually disabled old man. My adoptive grandfather died when I was 3, and after that, I survived on the charity of Sophia's and Rachel's families, the Millers, and the Collinses. The 3 of us grew up as one. Eventually, one became the love of my life, and the other, the sister I adored. When I turned 18, my birth parents, the Hamiltons, found me. Overjoyed, they told me I was their long-lost son and asked me to come home. Having craved a real family my whole life, I had planned to go, but Sophia's eyes filled with tears as she begged me not to leave her. Rachel, with her fiery temper, took it even further, landing herself in the emergency room after a suicide attempt. I was terrified. I never dared to mention going home again. We had grown up together, and I couldn't bear to hurt them. I truly believed we would be happy together for the rest of our lives. But then Ethan, the son my parents had adopted in my absence, suddenly showed up with his bags, claiming he wanted to get to know me. At first, both Sophia and Rachel were cold and distant towards him. Not long after his arrival, we went on that fateful trip and got caught in the flash flood. After I pulled the unconscious Sophia and Rachel to safety, I asked him to watch over them. I had to be hospitalized for a severe infection in a city 60 miles away. The result was Ethan claiming he had risked his life to save them while I had run away in fear. Their attitudes toward me and Ethan flipped completely. A loud bang startled me. The violent sound of my hospital room door being kicked open jolted me awake. I barely opened my eyes before Rachel stormed in, her face a mask of fury. Ethan is still in shock from when you push him into the pool. His hands won't stop shaking. Do you think you can get away with it by faking an illness? Get up and go apologize to him right now. I'm not faking it. I almost drowned. I have a high fever and pneumonia. She had nearly killed me today. All I felt for her now was hatred. I couldn't care less if she was concerned about me or not. But I had to force myself to explain. There was no telling what she might do in her fury. Rachel didn't believe a word of it. First of all, you learned to swim when you were 6. Second, that pool is so shallow you couldn't drown if you tried. You're such a great actor. You should be in Hollywood. Now let's go. You're going to apologize to Ethan. Her words almost made me choke with rage. I had nearly drowned saving her and Sophia from that flash flood, using every last bit of my strength. Ever since then, I've had a crippling fear of water and haven't dared to swim. But no matter how many times I told them, they refused to believe me. Suppressing my fury, I said hoarsely, I'll go as soon as this 4-drip is done. Is that acceptable? The past 2 years had taught me to stop explaining, to just shut up and give in. I thought that would finally satisfy Rachel. But instead, she ripped the 4-needle right out of my arm and ordered her bodyguards to haul me out of bed. The needle tore a flap of skin from the back of my hand, exposing the raw flesh beneath. Blood streamed from the wound, and I gasped in pain. Rachel, however, acted as if she hadn't seen a thing, simply ordering the bodyguards to drag me out. She used to always say we were brother and sister in every way that mattered. She swore that if anyone ever tried to hurt me, they'd have to go through her first. I was such an idiot for ever believing her. Clutching my bleeding hand, I was dragged into Ethan's hospital room. The first thing I saw was Ethan sitting up in bed, wrapped in the arms of my girlfriend, Sophia, who was comforting him in a soft voice. It's okay, Ethan. I'll stay with you. Sophia used to be so careful about her boundaries with other men, always worried she might upset me. But now, she could embrace another man right in front of me without a second thought. My hand was bleeding, the wound gaping, but Sophia's only concern was defending Ethan. I'm sure your hand hurts, but playing the victim won't work now. You hurt Ethan, and you owe him an apology. I'm sorry. Is that enough? I had given up trying to reason with her. I just wanted to get the apology over with so I could go back and get my 4 reinserted. Ethan heard me, but pretended not to, continuing to shiver dramatically. Sophia's heart broke for him. You push him into a freezing pool. A simple sorry isn't going to cut it. I almost died, and that wasn't enough? A sharp pain shot through my chest. Then what do you want from me? Sophia hesitated, as if she found the words difficult to say. Sophia, if you don't want to, it's fine, Ethan said, putting on a disappointed expression. Sophia sighed and turned to me. Ethan has always dreamed of entering the International Gem Design Competition, but he's never had the right piece. That collection you've been working on is perfect. I've decided to give it to him. No, I don't agree. That collection was my life's work, the culmination of 5 years of sleepless nights and inspiration. It was like my child. She was the one who said the sketches looked promising and asked to borrow them. How dare she give my work away to someone else? Sophia completely ignored my protest. Your opinion doesn't matter. I'm submitting the designs to the International Gem Design Competition under Ethan's name. I was livid. If you do that, I'll sue him for plagiarism. The original sketches are with me, and you deleted all the photos. What proof do you have that Ethan plagiarized anything? Daniel, just listen to me. You owe Ethan for what you did. Consider this your way of making it up to him. Sophia's casual words sent a chill through my body, draining all the fight out of me. For the past 3 years, I had told myself she was just being manipulated by Ethan, and I was only disappointed in her. But in this moment, it was pure hatred. She had asked for the original sketches, told me to delete the photos, and I had done it all for her. I never imagined she had been plotting against me the entire time. But what she didn't know was that on every single one of those sketches, I had signed my name in invisible ink. She wanted to use my work to build Ethan a reputation as a design prodigy. In her dreams, the day the awards were announced would be the day Ethan was exposed as a fraud. I fought back the bitter laugh that rose in my throat. You already had this all planned out, Ms. Miller, so why bother asking me? But remember this, we're even now. I don't owe you anything anymore. I always called her Sophia, never Ms. Miller. She frowned, looking like she was about to say something. But a single complaint from Ethan instantly captured all of her attention. She and Rachel then started fussing over him, competing for his affection just as they once had for mine. Seeing this used to break my heart. Now it just filled me with disgust. A girlfriend who was emotionally cheating on me. A childhood friend who nearly let me die for a manipulative snake. They both made me sick to my stomach. Enduring the physical and emotional agony, I stumbled out of the room. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I doubled over, clutching my chest, and retched until my throat was raw. How could I have given up my real family for two people so vile? That evening, my mother sent me the wedding itinerary. Daniel, what do you think of this? It's fine, I replied. I didn't care about the details of the wedding, as long as it helped my family and got me out of Los Angeles. I was in the hospital for a week. Sophia and Rachel were in the very next room, caring for Ethan, less than 3 feet away, but they never once came to see me. But I no longer cared. The day I was discharged, I went straight home and started packing. I just had to get out of there. I listed every gift Sophia and Rachel had ever given me for sale online. Then I called my best friend, David, to meet for a farewell dinner. What? You're moving back to New York to get married, and you're never coming back? Do Sophia and Rachel know? Would they even let you go? David was so shocked he dropped his fork. I couldn't blame him for asking. Anyone who knew me knew that Sophia and Rachel were once the most important people in my life. I put a few more slices of beef on his plate. They don't know, and I have no intention of telling them. David poked at the food on his plate, his shock giving way to a wide grin. After how they treated you, all for that manipulative jerk, it's about damn time you left them. You're right not to tell them. Those two would only try to ruin it. So, when's the wedding? 5 days from now. Actually, my mom just sent me pictures of some tuxedos. Could you help me? Before I could finish, Sophia walked up to our table, looking anxious. What wedding? Who's getting married? Ethan was standing beside her and chimed in with fake surprise. Don't tell me you haven't proposed yet. So Daniel is trying to force your hand? Sophia frowned. Daniel, we're still young. I have no plans to get married anytime soon. The way she recoiled from the idea was so absurd it was almost funny. She used to be the one constantly talking about getting married the second we were old enough, terrified I might fall for someone else. But lately, she'd been the one playing dumb every time the topic came up, afraid I'd actually propose. I bit back my irritation and gave a dismissive answer. It's a friend's wedding, not mine. Sophia seemed to breathe a sigh of relief and walked away with Ethan. What a hypocrite, David muttered angrily. She acts like that, but you know she can't stand the thought of losing you. Just wait until she finds out you're really marrying someone else. Let her stew in regret. I pulled out my phone and enlarged the photos. Okay, enough about them. Help me choose between these tuxes for me and the best man. My plan was simple. Say goodbye to my best friend, finish packing, and fly to New York to get married. With only a few days left, I thought I was in the clear. But shortly after Sophia and Ethan left, a story broke online, complete with photos of them and Rachel going into a hotel together and then visiting the infectious disease clinic at a men's health center. Rachel was a moderately famous actress with a large following, so the story immediately started trending. I had just finished picking out the tuxedos with David when the news alert popped up on my phone. Sophia hasn't even broken up with you, and she's already messing around like that? She's unbelievable. Daniel, are you really okay? If you're hurting, you can talk to me. Don't bottle it all up, man. That's not healthy. David looked at me with concern. I closed the news app. I would have been heartbroken before, but not anymore. If I still cared about Sophia that much, I would have lost my mind long ago. I was over it. Whether it was Rachel or Sophia with Ethan, I didn't care. Even if all three of them were together, it had nothing to do with me anymore. But on my way home, I noticed people staring at me with strange expressions, making my skin crawl. I had no idea why until I opened a new push notification on my phone. Sophia and Rachel had publicly stated that I was the one with the venereal disease, not Ethan. They were deliberately throwing me under the bus to cover for him. To make matters worse, Ethan posted on Twitter, heavily implying that I used to work as a male escort and that it was no surprise I contracted such a disease. Now, the entire internet believed I was a former gigolo with an STD. I thought after the last 3 years, nothing could faze me. But seeing their posts, their shamelessness made my face flush with rage. I couldn't find Rachel, Sophia, or Ethan at our place, so I threw on a mask and a hat and headed straight for the Miller family's mansion. Ethan had made it to the final round of the design competition using my stolen work, and Sophia and Rachel were throwing a party to celebrate. No dogs or Daniels allowed at my party. Get lost before I call security. Ethan sneered, blocking my path. He was wearing the Rolex he had taken from me. He used to be so careful, always afraid I might be recording him, putting on a fake, polite act whenever we were alone. This time, he didn't bother with the pretense. I fought to keep my voice even. You don't need to call security. I'll leave as soon as I get an answer. You were the one at the clinic, so why am I the one taking the fall? I've already given you the girls. I even let you have the designs I spent 5 years of my life on. Why can't you just leave me alone? After I went missing, my parents adopted Ethan. He lived the life that should have been mine for years, but I was never jealous. Even after the Hamiltons found me, I never tried to compete with him or take anything from him. I truly don't understand what I ever did to him to deserve this. Why he's so determined to destroy me. My questions seem to set him off. Let me have them. Don't act so generous. I took them myself. It's your own fault for being an idiot and refusing to go back to New York to marry that Comatose girl. If you didn't, they would have made me do it, and no way was that happening. My parents never intended for you to marry her. You think I believe that? The Hamilton Corporation is having cash flow problems, and only the Vanderbilts can bail you out. They couldn't stand to send their precious biological son into that marriage, so they decided to use me instead. Some philanthropists. It's a joke. My parents treated him so well. How could he talk about them like that? My vision turned red with fury. Ethan, Ethan let out a yell and dramatically collapsed to the floor, shattering his wine glass. An instant later, a powerful shove from Rachel sent me sprawling to the ground. Daniel, didn't I warn you to stop bullying Ethan? If you touch him again, I swear you'll be out of this house and back to being the unwanted orphan you are. My head slammed against the wall, and my vision swam with black spots. Shards of glass dug into my palm. The pain so intense, I couldn't speak. Rachel didn't even glance at me. She just helped Ethan to his feet and walked away. Sophia saw what happened from across the room and hurried over, not out of concern for me, but to prevent me from making a scene. The usually gentle Sophia grabbed me roughly and dragged me out of the hall. Daniel, this is Ethan's celebration party. Can you please not cause a scene? It's just a few designs. You can always draw more. That was 5 years of my life. How many 5-year periods does a person get? I shoved her away, my voice raw with anger. I'm not here about the stolen designs. I'm here because of what's trending online. I'm not the one with the disease, so why are you pinning it on me? Keep your voice down. Ethan is about to become an internationally acclaimed designer. If people find out he has an STD, his reputation will be ruined. How could he ever show his face in public again? Sophia was my girlfriend. She had a threesome in a hotel, took another man to a clinic for an STD, and then blamed it all on me without a shred of guilt, only anger. I had never hated her more. And what about me? You think I don't care about my reputation? You're not the one winning the award anyway. So what does it matter if people say a few bad things about you? Don't worry about it. I'll still marry you one day, and my trust fund is more than enough for you to live on for the rest of your life. She said it so casually, as if it were nothing. Ever since the flash flood, she had found it so easy to hurt me for Ethan's sake, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I looked at her. It was the same face I'd known for years, but now she was a stranger to me. Perhaps sensing her own guilt, Sophia avoided my eyes. Daniel, just behave yourself. If you cause any more trouble, I'm breaking up with you. Then let's break up. It wasn't the first time I'd said it. She assumed, like always, that I would come crawling back to beg for her forgiveness. She didn't take me seriously, just shot me a dismissive look and walked away. Through the window, I watched Ethan, flanked by Rachel and Sophia, basking in the spotlight. He was enjoying the accolades, the friendship, and the love that should have been mine. He caught me looking and shot me a triumphant, mocking glance. A moment later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ethan. You grew up with them, and you still couldn't keep them. You're pathetic. Watching them walk all over you is just sad. You're an embarrassment. Oh, and by the way, it looks like your designs are going to win me the gold medal and make me world famous. Mad? Too bad. You're not getting them back, and you're still the guy with the STD. Just like always, he unsent the messages moments after sending them. I gripped my phone, praying for the day his plagiarism would be exposed, just to see if he could still be so smug. And I wasn't going to be his scapegoat for the STD. I contacted a private investigator and told him to get me proof of Ethan's visit to that clinic, no matter what it took. Understood, the PI replied. By the way, I've already gathered the evidence of Ethan's other setups against you. There's a lot of it, so it might take me a few days to sort through it all. That's fine. Get to me when you can. There's no rush. I had hired the best PI in the city, originally hoping to quickly expose Ethan's schemes and finally clear the air with Sophia and Rachel. But from the moment Rachel pushed me into that pool and Sophia left me to drown, I was done with them. I no longer cared what they thought of me, so the evidence could wait. I gave a short, bitter laugh, put my phone away, and headed home. I was almost done packing, with just a few things left to sort through. I didn't want to leave a single trace of myself behind. I packed what I wanted and sold or tossed the rest. By the end, all that remained of my life here was a single suitcase, a thick photo album, and a glass jar filled with colorful paper cranes. The album was filled with photos of me, Rachel, and Sophia, from childhood until now. They had once insisted we take at least 100 pictures together every year to have memories to look back on when we were old. They hadn't kept that promise for 3 years. The paper cranes were also a gift from them, folded with their own hands. They told me each crane represented a wish I could ask of them. But when Ethan framed me, and I used a crane to wish for their trust, they crushed it under their feet and told me to stop being so childish. I carried the album and the jar of cranes outside, piled them together, and lit a match. "What are you doing?" Just as the last pages were turning to ash, Rachel came home. She shoved me aside angrily and reached into the flames, trying to salvage the album and the cranes. Even Sophia, who was usually so composed, went pale. She let go of Ethan and ran towards the fire. But it was too late. The album was gone, and the cranes were nothing but a pile of gray ash. Rachel cupped the warm ashes in her hands and turned to me, her eyes blazing. "Are you insane? Why would you burn all this? Do you have any idea how many years of memories were in there?" Sophia stared at me, her face filled with disapproval. Not wanting another fight, I used the excuse I'd already prepared. The prints were getting faded. I have digital copies, so I ordered new, clearer ones. They should arrive in a few weeks. Rachel and Sophia looked like they were about to argue further, but a small cry from Ethan immediately drew their attention, and they both hurried to his side. "Oh no, did you drop that antique vase I just bought you? Are you hurt?" Sophia asked, helping him up. Rachel cooed, "You silly thing. What would you ever do without us?" Ethan put on a concerned face. "Don't just worry about me. Look at Daniel. He's packing his bags. He's not actually leaving, is he?" Rachel scoffed. "He's an orphan who depends on me and Sophia for everything. Where would he go? I've tried to kick him out for all the trouble he's caused, but he never has the spine to actually leave." Sophia laughed too. "Don't worry about Daniel. I was his first love. His greatest dream for years has been to marry me. He's not going anywhere." They were both completely focused on comforting Ethan, ignoring me completely. In the beginning, 3 years ago, they used to at least feel a little guilty when they hurt me. They hated me for abandoning them in the flood and despised me for bullying Ethan and twisting the truth. Yet they refused to let me leave. Back then, all I wanted was to expose Ethan and make them understand. No matter how much they hurt me, I never considered leaving. Over time, they began to take my presence for granted, no longer caring about my feelings or worrying that I might one day walk away. But I didn't care what they thought anymore. I couldn't stand watching the three of them, so I went upstairs to bed. The next morning, I got up, got ready, had a quick breakfast, and grabbed my suitcase to head for New York. The wheels rumbled on the floor. Sophia was the first to speak. "Where are you going?" I knew it wasn't out of concern. She was probably just afraid that if I left, there would be no one left to be Ethan's ghost designer. While I was in the hospital, she had already fired me as design director and given the position to Ethan. She even planned to make me his assistant. My former colleagues had told me everything. I was so disgusted I could barely look at her. But not wanting to start a fight, I just mumbled, "David's getting married. I'm going to his wedding. He lives in LA. Why do you have a suitcase?" "His fiancée is from New York. The wedding is there. When will you be back?" "In 3 days." And the new photos you ordered should have arrived by then, right? Yeah. Sophia was always sharp, always asking too many questions. Rachel, however, was impatient. He's coming back, so who cares? Let's go, Sophia. Ethan said he wants to get a kitten, and he's waiting for us to go with him. Normally, the mention of Ethan's name was enough to make Sophia forget I existed. But this time, she added, unusually about the STD thing, making you take the blame for that. Rachel and I were wrong. Let me know when you're flying back, and I'll pick you up from the airport. Yeah, Sophia and I will both come get you, right? Stop making such a big deal out of it. It's not the end of the world, Rachel added, looking slightly uncomfortable herself. So, they didn't know they were in the wrong. I scoffed internally but just said, okay. Then I turned, grabbed my suitcase, and walked out without a backward glance. I wouldn't be making any more scenes, and I would never be coming back. They could wait for me forever. At 5 in the afternoon, my flight landed in New York City. My parents were there at the airport to meet me. With them was a beautiful woman in a wheelchair. She had deep-set eyes, a high-bridged nose, and features so delicate and perfect she looked like a doll. My first thought was that she was stunning. My second was that she looked vaguely familiar, though I couldn't place where I might have seen her before. Daniel, this is Sarah. Sarah Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt heiress, and my future wife. After my dad's introduction, my mom leaned in and whispered, the day you agreed to the marriage, Mrs. Vanderbilt told Sarah about it, and she woke up from her coma that very same day. Can you believe it? I only just found out myself. When Sarah heard you were arriving today, she insisted on coming to meet you. It did seem incredible. Well, I'd agreed to this. I had resigned myself to marrying a woman in a coma. To suddenly be faced with a living, breathing fiancé, well, I was a bit stunned and had no idea how to act. Hello, Daniel. In the end, it was Sarah who broke the silence, extending her hand to me. I quickly took it. Hello, Miss Vanderbilt. Please call me Sarah. Okay, was it just my imagination, or was she holding my hand for just a second too long? And she kept looking at me so intently. Did I have something on my face? I snuck a glance in the car's rearview mirror, but I looked fine. In the car, Sarah sat beside me. Sophia and Rachel had always been so controlling that I rarely got this close to any woman I didn't know well. I felt completely out of my element. But she was going to be my wife, so I had to explain the whole STD rumor. Sarah, about those things online, about me going to clinic. Do you want to sue them for slander? She cut in. I had my team save all the evidence before they took the post down. You have more than enough to file a lawsuit. I was taken aback. I pulled out my phone, and sure enough, the trending topic was gone, and all the vile comments on my Twitter feed had vanished. I had braced myself for her anger and disgust, but it never occurred to me that she wouldn't have doubted me in the first place. For a moment, I was at a loss for words. Our wedding is just around the corner. Let's deal with it after that. Whatever you say, Daniel. Sarah smoothly changed the subject. You studied jewelry design at NYU, right? I did. I was relieved she didn't press the embarrassing topic. I've seen your previous work, Sarah said. Your first major piece, if I remember correctly, was that tiara for your friend's sister's debutante ball, wasn't it? How did you know that? I was genuinely surprised. I had a bit of a reputation as a designer now, but most people only knew my more recent, famous pieces. Even Sophia and Rachel didn't know about that first piece. Sarah smiled. I saw it by chance back then and fell in love with it. So, I had someone find out who the designer was. I'm not usually a talkative person, but I make an exception when it comes to my designs. Besides, she wasn't just pretending to be knowledgeable. She had clearly actually studied my portfolio. By the time we arrived, I felt we were at least somewhat acquainted. At dinner that night, I met the rest of the Vanderbilt family for the first time. It was called a merger of families, but in reality, the Hamiltons were begging the Vanderbilts for help. If Sarah hadn't been in a coma, a Vanderbilt marriage would have been completely out of my league. I had expected the Vanderbilts to be cold and aloof, but they were warmer than I could have imagined. My future father-in-law clapped my dad on the shoulder. Robert, was that capital injection the other day enough? If you need more, just say the word. Between our families, there's no need to be formal. My future mother-in-law took my hand, her face beaming. Just look at Daniel. So handsome. Here, this is 1% of the company's stock. Sign it now, and it will be your prenuptial asset. Don't underestimate 1%. The annual dividends alone were at least $50 million. Sarah herself only held 10%. I held the stock transfer agreement, my hands trembling. I wanted to refuse. It was just too much. But before I could get the words out, Sarah flipped the contract to the signature page for me and leaned in close. Daniel, sign it quickly before they change their minds, she whispered. Honestly, it was a little jarring to see her, with her elegant and composed demeanor, whispering conspiratorially. She pressed a fountain pen into my hand, along with a black credit card. Here, your family has given me too much already, I said, feeling almost guilty taking it. Sarah's eyes crinkled at the corners as she smiled. Because you're worth it. She and her family seemed genuinely kind, and I started to relax. 3 days flew by in a flash. I heard nothing from Sophia or Rachel. It was for the best. No one would be there to ruin my wedding. But I had been too optimistic. Half an hour before the ceremony, as I stood backstage in my tuxedo, my phone began to vibrate incessantly. A missed FaceTime call from Sophia. Another missed FaceTime from Sophia. A missed FaceTime from Rachel. A text from Rachel. Daniel, answer your phone. A text from Sophia. Daniel, please pick up. I didn't know what they had found out, but they were spamming me with iMessage video calls. While I didn't answer, they started calling my number directly, one call every 30 seconds, relentlessly. Annoyed, I frowned and simply turned my phone off. The ceremony began. Sarah walked down the aisle on her father's arm, and he solemnly placed her hand in mine. But just as we were about to exchange rings, 2 voices cried out, Daniel, Daniel. Sophia and Rachel came running into the hall. They stared at me on the altar, wearing the groom's boutonniere, their faces draining of all color. Their eyes were wide with disbelief, as if I were the one who had betrayed them. Why did they have to look at me that way? Sophia and Ethan had all but slept together right in front of me. Why would she think I'd wait for her? Rachel had nearly killed me to defend Ethan. Why would she think I'd ever want to see her again, let alone treat her like a sister? As they started to rush the altar, threatening to ruin everything, my heart sank. Sarah, I'm so sorry. Before I could finish my apology, security guards swiftly intercepted Sophia and Rachel and escorted them out, causing barely a ripple in the ceremony. Sarah slid the wedding band onto my finger. I've waited too long for this, she said, her eyes deep and focused, my reflection captured in them. I won't let anyone ruin our wedding. For a split second, I had the strange feeling that she had been in love with me for a very long time. But that was impossible. Before today, I didn't even know who she was. I pushed the ridiculous thought from my mind. The rest of the ceremony went off without a hitch. It wasn't until just before the reception began that Sophia, Rachel, and Ethan managed to find me again. Daniel, come over here. I need to talk to you, Sophia said, her face grim as she stared at the boutonniere still pinned to my lapel. I refused. No, thanks. I have nothing to say to you. I had never spoken to her so coldly before. Her shock gave way to a flush of anger. Just then, Sarah joined me. Seeing them, she looked ready to have them thrown out. But before she could say a word, Rachel spoke up, her face a mask of contempt. Miss Vanderbilt, do you have any idea where this wedding of yours came from? He stole it from Ethan. Not only that, but he has a girlfriend of 7 years, and he married you without even breaking up with her. Don't let this snake fool you. So that's why they crashed my wedding. It was another one of Ethan's schemes. Hadn't they tormented me enough for him over the past 3 years? I'd already left them behind. So why couldn't they just let me go? Why did they have to follow me here and try to ruin this day too? I didn't want to lose my temper at my own wedding, but I couldn't help it. Who said we didn't break up? Sophia, you told me we were through the day of Ethan's party. Or has your memory failed you? Sophia looked at me with disapproval. I was just angry. You can't take that seriously. Daniel, you can't steal Ethan's fiancée just to get back at me. It's wrong. You're always picking on him, and he's generous enough to let it slide, but this is just shameless, even for you. The sharp crack of a slap cut her off. I couldn't stop myself. I slapped her across the face, so furious I saw spots and couldn't speak. Ethan rushed to shield her. Daniel, hitting people won't change the truth. He turned to Sarah with a pained expression. Sarah, I've been in love with you since we were kids. So when your family proposed a symbolic marriage with a Hamilton son for your recovery, I agreed immediately. But I never imagined you would wake up before the wedding. Daniel was jealous of my good fortune, so he and my adoptive parents conspired to have him take my place. I laughed a harsh, angry sound. Are you sure about that? Ethan looked as if he'd been deeply wronged. It is the truth. That's enough, Daniel. Apologize to Ethan and come home with me. We can pretend this whole thing never happened, Sophia said, acting as if she were the magnanimous one. Rachel's eyes dripped with contempt. You're a disgrace. I'm ashamed to have ever called you my brother. There was a time when the 3 of them had pushed me so far I considered ending my own life, spending countless sleepless nights in despair. Now, they just seemed pathetic and ridiculous. Ethan, you claim I stole your marriage, but this arrangement was always about me. The Vanderbilts wanted me specifically. If I had refused, the deal would have been off. It never had anything to do with you. Ethan sputtered, but they used my astrological chart. Before he could say more, Sarah laughed. I've had a crush on Daniel for years. That's why my family specifically sought him out after my accident. Whatever his chart is, that's the one they wanted. Why would he need to steal yours? She had a crush on me? Forget everyone else. I was the one who was completely floored. Ethan was left speechless, his face turning ashen. Sophia and Rachel stared at him, desperately hoping he had another lie ready. I looked at them and had to laugh. Stop staring at him. He's lying. He's always been lying, deliberately turning you against me. How does it feel to be played for a fool? Rachel, who had been struggling against the security guards, suddenly went limp. All the fight drained out of her, and she just stared at me, her eyes wide with panic and confusion. The blood drained from Sophia's face. She stared at me, a look of raw, unfamiliar terror in her eyes. Sophia and Rachel looked like they wanted to speak, but Sarah gave them no opportunity. Get them and that man out of here, she said with disgust. Memorize their faces. I never want to see them on my property again. The guards grabbed them and started to drag them away. Wait, I called out. A flicker of hope appeared in Sophia's eyes. Daniel, I knew you still. Stop. I cut her off. Don't flatter yourself. I looked past her, my gaze landing on Ethan with pure disgust. Since we have an audience, let's make things clear. Ethan, the Hamilton family has no place for an ungrateful snake like you. From this day forward, you're no longer associated with us in any way. With that, I signaled for the guards to remove them. The reception began, and it was time for the toasts. Normally, Sarah and I would have made the rounds toasting all the guests, but the Vanderbilts were in a league of their own. There were very few people in attendance who warranted a personal toast from the heiress and her new husband. In the end, we greeted a few key family elders and were then ushered away to have our own meal. Daniel has had such a long day. Sarah, dear, take him somewhere quiet to rest and get something to eat, my mother-in-law said, fussing over me as if I'd been through a war. Sarah smiled. Of course. She led me to the head table. The menu there was different from the rest of the reception. Every single dish was one of my personal favorites. I looked at Sarah, surprised. Did you arrange this? I did, she said, pulling out my chair for me. Watching her maneuver her wheelchair to take care of me, I felt a pang of guilt, as if I were taking advantage of her. The staff can get it, or I can. You don't have to do all this. Of course I do. If I let them do everything, how will you ever see how wonderful I am? You didn't think I was lying when I said I had a crush on you, did you? She had such an elegant, almost intimidating presence. Yet she was so direct it left me completely flustered. I sat down, stammering, well, we actually went to the same schools, from middle school all the way through college. We did. I racked my brain, but I couldn't remember her at all. Sarah couldn't help but laugh at my confusion. It's perfectly normal that you don't remember me. You were always at the top of the class, a star on the basketball court, a brilliant pianist, and you were always so kind. A lot of girls had crushes on you. I was just one of them. I even tried to give you a note once, but I'm sure it never reached you, just like all the others. I tried to say hello a few times, but Sophia or Rachel always got in the way. I even managed to get your number once, but you deleted me before I could even send a message. The person she was describing sounded like a stranger. Was I really that impressive? David was my only close friend from the last few years. Before him, it had only ever been Sophia and Rachel. Even when things were good between us, they rarely praised me. It took me a moment to respond. I'm sorry about that. I was with Sophia for 7 years. Back when things were good, she was always very jealous. She used to delete any woman from my contacts. That's not your fault. It's hers, Sarah said. And for the record, even if I get jealous, I would never do something like that. That's not jealousy. That's a character flaw. Was she trying to turn me against Sophia even more? No, I must have been misreading it. She didn't seem like the type to put others down to build herself up. Besides, even without her comments, I was never going to speak to Sophia or Rachel again. The depth of my former affection for them was now matched only by the depth of my hatred. After the reception, Sarah and I returned to our suite. I felt the need to explain. Today was an anomaly. I won't be seeing Sophia or Rachel again, so please don't be upset. Sarah smiled at me. Don't be so tense. It's okay if you see them. My feelings for you don't change the fact that I respect you and your privacy. I trust your judgment. I was worried she might feel awkward, so I was about to suggest we sleep in separate rooms. But just then, She began to undress right in front of me. I quickly pulled the covers over her. "Aren't you worried I might take advantage of you? You're the man I love," she said. "If you wanted to take advantage of me, it would just mean you find me attractive, and I'd be thrilled." Her words made me think of Sophia. We had gotten together when I was 18. She was so possessive, forbidding me from even speaking to other women or having their numbers in my phone. So many times, she had opened letters meant for me, read through my private messages, and deleted people from my contacts, all without my permission. When I found out, I was furious. This is a complete violation of my privacy. Everyone deserves their own space. That was the first time I remember her ever getting truly angry with me. "Don't you know what those girls want from you? You have a girlfriend. You should be keeping your distance, not leading them on." When Rachel found out, she took Sophia's side. "She only does it because she cares about you so much. How could you fight with her over something like this? Anyone would be heartbroken. Just apologize, and she'll forgive you." They and their families were the only people I had. When the Collinses and the Millers all told me I was in the wrong, I started to believe it. After 6 months of dating, Sophia would barely even hold my hand, let alone kiss me. I tried to bring it up gently a few times, but she always got angry. "Daniel, are you just like every other guy, only thinking about one thing? Do you actually like me? Or do you just want my body?" I tried desperately to explain that I genuinely cared for her, but she wouldn't believe me. "If you really liked me, you would respect me, not just try to get me into bed." It wasn't about sex. It was just that we'd been together for 6 months, and her aversion to even a simple kiss made me wonder if she even liked me at all. I liked her, and I wanted to kiss her. Was that so wrong? I started to question myself. Then Rachel piled on, "You're going to marry her eventually anyway, so why can't you just wait? Sophia is just like any other girl who wants to save that special moment for her wedding night." They convinced me. I told myself that Sophia did love me. She was just possessive and old-fashioned. I believed that Rachel was my sister and would never mislead me. But today, Sarah told me that when you love someone, you respect them, you give them space. And when you love someone, you don't push them away when they want to be close. My mind was a mess. After getting ready for bed, I decided to scroll through TikTok for a bit to distract myself from the past. But the moment I turned my phone on, it was flooded with notifications. Dozens of missed calls and texts, all from Sophia. For a second, I thought she must have finally seen Ethan's true colors and was calling to apologize. But when I read the messages, a fresh wave of rage washed over me. "Sophia, I almost fell for it. I almost believed you that Ethan was the liar. You really are a cruel person, deliberately trying to ruin his name." "Sophia, Ethan already explained everything to me and Rachel. It was just a misunderstanding because your parents weren't clear. Was it really necessary to humiliate him at your wedding and kick him out of the family over something so small? How is he supposed to face anyone now?" "Sophia, and you're being way too dramatic. All we did was ask you to cover for him with the STD thing. Did you really have to get so upset that you ran off to New York and married someone else?" "Sophia, I'm giving you one last chance. Tomorrow, you will publicly apologize to Ethan, reaffirm his status as a Hamilton, and then get a quick divorce from Miss Vanderbilt. If you do that, I'll consider taking you back. It's only now that I'm free of her that I can see how vile and narcissistic she truly is. Before I came to New York, I thought simply getting away from her would be enough. No matter how much I hated her, I never considered revenge. But I realize now that if I just run, she will never stop chasing me, never stop trying to hurt me." I called her directly. She answered immediately. "I knew you'd call. Remember, you have 24 hours to do what I said if you want me back." I gritted my teeth. "Who the hell do you think you are? Sarah is 1,000 times better than you'll ever be. I'd have to be insane to leave her for you." "Daniel," Sophia shrieked. "Don't yell at me. I'm telling you, Sophia, not only is Ethan never coming back to the Hamilton family, but I'm going to expose every disgusting thing the three of you have done. You will never, ever hurt me again. I'm not a confrontational person. I usually just let things go. If they hadn't pushed me so far past my limit, I never would have imagined myself yelling like this." Sophia was clearly stunned. Her angry panting was audible over the phone, but I didn't give her a chance to respond. I hung up and blocked her number, her iMessage, everything. Then I took the hospital security footage and registration records from my PI and posted them online. "Daniel Hamilton V. At Ethan Designs Ethan, you've got the nerve to sleep around, but not to admit you caught something? You were the one at the hotel with 2 women. You were the one at the clinic. And you made me the scapegoat while mocking me online? How shameless can you be? At Miller Designs at Rachel Collins Sophia. Rachel, If your eyesight is that bad, maybe you should see a doctor. It's pathetic when you can't even identify the man you're sleeping with and try to blame me instead. I attached the security footage, the clinic registration, screenshots of Sophia and Rachel's posts claiming they were with me at the hospital, and a link to Ethan's original Twitter post. I had 200,000 followers, but that wasn't enough. I paid to make a trend. What they had done was so outrageous that the post went viral almost instantly. Before I could even lie down, my phone was ringing. It was Rachel, and she was furious. "Are you out of your mind, Daniel? Do you have a death wish posting that?" They could slander me, but I wasn't allowed to tell the truth. I wasn't in the mood to argue. You're the one who should be worried. Rachel, you, Sophia, and Ethan have until midnight tomorrow to issue a public apology. If you don't, I'm filing a lawsuit for slander, and I'll see all three of you in jail. I'm not interested in your excuses, so shut up. You should be grateful I'm even giving you this chance. I could have been much harsher. In the past, I never wanted to burn my bridges with Sophia and Rachel. I felt indebted to their families for raising me, and I couldn't bring myself to retaliate. But they kept pushing, treating me like I was less than human. Whatever goodwill I had for them was completely gone. After hanging up, I blocked Rachel's number, and Ethan's too for good measure. I had been so focused on blocking Sophia that I'd forgotten about the other two. With that done, I put my phone on silent and finally went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to find my post was the #1 trending topic on Twitter. Sophia, Rachel, and Ethan were being absolutely destroyed in the comments. I glanced at my phone and headed down for breakfast. Sarah was in her wheelchair, reading a book. The moment she saw me, she put it down and came over. She had the housekeeper bring me a bowl of soup and asked, "I just saw what's trending. Did they do something to you again?" "Yeah. Is it bad for our image? I can have it taken down." I had acted out of pure rage last night. It was only now that I remembered how much powerful families cared about their reputation. I remembered when Rachel's aunt got me drunk and assaulted me. Both the Collins and Miller families forbade me from going to the police. Sophia said that since I was going to marry her, I had to protect my public image. Rachel said the Collins family was prominent in LA, and a scandal would make them a laughingstock. If the Millers and Collinses were that concerned with appearances, I could only imagine how the Vanderbilts felt. But Sarah stopped me before I could make the call. "You were attacked, and you have every right to defend yourself. In fact, I should be the one apologizing. You're my husband, and I had no idea this was happening to you." That's not right. I was stunned by how different her reaction was from the Millers and Collinses. "You don't have to apologize. It has nothing to do with you. We're married now. Your problems are my problems. From now on, you can tell me anything." "Okay," I murmured, though I had no intention of doing so. I had learned the hard way that you can only rely on yourself. I never wanted to depend on anyone else again. The feeling of betrayal was too much to bear. After breakfast, Sarah went to her physical therapy session. She had told me before the wedding that she wanted to wait until she was fully recovered before we went on our honeymoon. She didn't want our first trip together to be defined by me having to take care of her. After she left, I idly played the piano for a while until my phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello, Daniel, it's me. It was Sophia. Do you have any idea what you've done? Everyone is attacking Ethan online because of you. He's devastated. He's talking about killing himself and you." I cut her off, already tired of her drama. "So, is he dead yet? If he is, I'll send flowers to the funeral." "Daniel, you never used to be like this. How could you be so cruel? We were wrong to make you take the fall for the STD. I admit it, but you've done so many things to hurt him. Isn't it fair for you to take the blame just once? How could you post the truth and let all those people attack him?" It wasn't the first time she'd spoken to me like this. I should have just hung up, refused to listen to her biased, ridiculous accusations. But I couldn't let it go. "You and Rachel are always accusing me of hurting Ethan. Have either of you ever, even once, actually seen me do anything to him? Why do you always believe him over me? You've turned on me completely for his sake. Have you ever stopped to consider what it would mean if he's been lying to you this whole time? If you ever find out that I was the one who saved you in that flood, how will you ever be able to look me in the eye?" By the end, I was shouting. Sophia's reply was instant and unthinking. "Stop trying to twist the truth. Ethan is a good person. He would never lie or hurt anyone. And I would." I took a deep breath, refusing to continue this pointless argument. "You brought this on yourselves. You deserve every bit of hate you're getting. Don't call me again. If I don't see a public apology from all three of you by midnight, I'm filing the lawsuit." "Daniel, I hung up and set my phone to reject calls from unknown numbers. I didn't even feel like playing the piano anymore. Half an hour later, Sophia, Rachel, and Ethan posted a public apology online. But almost immediately, it was buried by a new trending topic: accusations that I had plagiarized and bullied Ethan, whose design had just won the gold medal at the international competition. Ethan appeared in a video, his voice hoarse, looking utterly defeated. "I'm sorry to be taking up everyone's time," he began, "but I have no other choice. Today, the committee for the International Gem Design Competition informed me that my submission has won the gold medal. I should be thrilled that my hard work and talent have finally been recognized. But I can't be, because for years, my work has been stolen and claimed by Daniel Hamilton. It was my life's work, but my adoptive parents stole it all and gave it to their biological son, just to build him a reputation as a design prodigy. They've destroyed all the evidence, so I have no way to prove it. But today, on the day I should be celebrating, I have to speak my truth. If I keep this inside any longer, it will destroy me." Ethan's video alone might have been met with skepticism. But then Sophia posted an official notice of my termination from her verified company account. And during a live broadcast of a popular reality show, Rachel made comments alluding to me being a plagiarist and a bully. The internet went into a frenzy. Sophia Miller and Rachel Collins are his childhood friends. Sophia dated him for 7 years. They wouldn't lie about something like this, would they? If this is true, his career is over. His closest friends wouldn't joke about that. He must have done something truly awful for both of them to turn on him like this. I'm a jewelry design student, and I just compared Ethan's award-winning collection with Daniel's past work. The style is identical. I used to look up to Daniel Hamilton. I can't believe he's a fraud. In an instant, the internet was flooded with messages attacking me. Sarah stopped her physical therapy session and came to find me, a deep frown on her face. She had claimed to be a fan of my work, so I expected her to be furious and disappointed, just like everyone else. But all Sarah said was, "Do you have proof that he stole your work? If you do, give it to me. I'll have my team release it and get our lawyers on the phone to file a suit." "You don't doubt me? Why would I?" "You're not that kind of person," she said, without a moment's hesitation. A warmth spread through my chest at her unwavering faith in me. "I have proof. Don't worry. But there is one thing I need your help with." Thank God. Thank God she wasn't like Sophia and Rachel. She believed me. Half an hour later, I was on a live video call with Ethan. The chat was a waterfall of insults directed at me. Sarah sat beside me, her expression grim, her eyes dark with anger. "It's fine," I told her. "But I don't like it," she said, taking my laptop and starting to act as a moderator, banning every user who posted an insult. The things Sophia and Rachel used to say to me were far more vicious than anything these strangers were writing. Their words couldn't hurt me, but seeing how much Sarah cared, I couldn't help but feel a little happy. But Ethan and Sophia, who was with him, were clearly not pleased. Ethan looked at me, feigning nervousness, as if it was taking all his courage to speak. Daniel, you have all these good people on my side now. It doesn't matter if you get your parents or Miss Vanderbilt to help you. It won't work. Just admit what you did and apologize. That's all I want. Just a simple apology." Sophia glared at me from beside him. Only Ethan would be this forgiving. "You should be grateful, Daniel." In the past, her blind defense of him would have hurt me. Now it was just tedious. I ignored her completely and focused on Ethan. "Are you absolutely certain that all of my past work was stolen from you?" "Forget my past work. If you had seen this competition piece, you would have stolen it too. I thought of you all as my real family. I never imagined you and your parents could be so cruel." By the end, Ethan's voice was thick with fake tears. Sophia handed him a tissue, her heart aching for him. "Don't cry. Everyone knows the truth now. All I want is an apology. Is that really so much to ask?" Ethan said, as tears streamed down his face. The insults in the chat intensified. I ignored them and looked coldly at Sophia. "Ethan is certain I plagiarized him. What about you, Ms. Miller? Do you have anything to add?" A flicker of guilt crossed Sophia's eyes, and she hesitated. But one look from Ethan's tear-filled eyes was all it took. She frowned and said, "Daniel, stop trying to deny it. Rachel and I personally watched Ethan draw every single one of those designs. You were wrong. Just apologize." I didn't respond to her. Instead, I took out my phone, unblocked Rachel's number, and called her, putting the call on speaker. "Rachel, they're all saying I'm a plagiarist. What do you think?" Rachel's voice came through, as aggressive as ever. "Ethan just wants an apology. Just give it to him already." She hadn't answered my question, so I asked again, more pointedly this time. "Sophia says that you and she both personally witnessed Ethan creating those designs. which I then stole. Is that true? From the moment my face appeared on screen, the chat had been a stream of insults. Now it was getting even worse. Stop asking questions, you idiot. Both your childhood friends have called you out. Just admit it, you plagiarizing scum. They say a man doesn't cry unless he's truly heartbroken. Ethan wouldn't be crying like this unless you had done something truly terrible to him. No matter how many times you ask, Sophia and Rachel aren't going to lie for you. This is so annoying. Just apologize already, you jerk. Stalling won't change the fact that you're a thief. He's denying it right in front of Sophia and all of us. Imagine how he and his awful parents must treat Ethan in private. What a scumbag. No wonder his own friends are on Ethan's side. If I were him, I'd be too ashamed to show my face. So shameless. As the comments flew by, Rachel's furious voice erupted from the speaker. Yes, it's true. It's true, it's true. Is that clear enough for you? You bullied him for years and you stole his work. You owe him more than you could ever repay. Now apologize to him immediately. A look of triumphant mockery flashed in Ethan's eyes, but his voice was a choked sob. Yes, Daniel, I'm a forgiving person. Just say you're sorry. I waited for him to finish. After Sophia took my designs, she told me to burn the sketches and delete the photos. Did you really think that meant I had no proof? Daniel, why are you still trying to twist the truth? I cut him off impatiently. Ethan, every time I finish a design, I sign it with invisible ink. Now, let's get the competition's head judge on the line and see if I'm telling the truth. When the face of the head judge appeared on screen, live from the competition venue, Ethan froze, a tissue halfway to his face. Panic flashed in his eyes, and his face went white. As the judge passed a lighter under each page of his award-winning design, my signature appeared in crisp, clear letters on every single one. Ethan's eyes rolled back in his head, and he passed out cold. For once, Sophia didn't rush to his side. She just stared at me in utter shock. The live chat, which had been a torrent of hate, went silent for a beat, then exploded with so many messages the screen was just a blur. I ignored the chat and looked directly into the camera. Sophia, Rachel, was it fun? Lying about me, slandering me, over and over again. And let me take this opportunity to formally inform you both. I will be suing you and Ethan for plagiarism, slander, and defamation. I look forward to seeing you in court. With that, I ended the live stream, but my call with Rachel was still connected. Daniel, you've hurt Ethan so many times, she screamed. So what if he took a few of your designs? You owed him. If you dare sue him, I swear I will destroy you. I'll make your life a living hell. Sophia's voice joined in, laced with impatience. There's no need to blow this out of proportion. You're the one who's in the wrong here. If you hadn't hurt him so many times, he never would have done this. You owe him, Daniel. This is your penance. You owe him. This is your penance. I had heard those phrases so many times they echoed in my nightmares, with me desperately trying to explain and them refusing to listen. I was sick of their self-righteousness. Instead of worrying about Ethan, you should start worrying about yourselves. The entire internet just watched you lie for him with straight faces. You don't actually think you're going to get away with this, do you? I hung up and blocked Rachel's number again. I had deliberately dragged them into the live stream to put them on the record. If they had shown even a shred of conscience, a hint of remorse, they wouldn't have been caught in the crossfire. But they had stood by him, lied for him, and helped him try to destroy me, so they could burn with him. Are you okay? Sarah asked softly, sitting beside me. I managed a small smile. I'm fine. They're the ones who aren't. You don't have to smile if you're hurting. It's okay to cry. I'm really okay, I insisted. I had already shed more than enough tears for Sophia and Rachel. I would never cry for them again. But Sarah, she had such a composed, regal air about her. But right now her nose was red and her voice was thick with emotion. Anyone watching would have thought she was the one who had been attacked. Seeing her so upset on my behalf, the anger I felt toward Sophia and Rachel somehow just melted away. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then changed the subject. I was thinking of buying some new clothes. Would you have time to come with me? Sure, let's go. She said she wanted to shop for herself, but the moment we entered the department store, she dragged me into the men's suiting section. What about this one? Or this one? Oh, and this one. Sarah picked out one suit after another, having the salesman pull them for me to try on. I was completely baffled. I thought we were shopping for you. There's nothing new this season that I like, she said dismissively. But I already have plenty of suits. That's different. None of them are for me. I'm not a very good wife, am I? Her sudden, serious self-criticism was so unexpected I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. We were married, Yes, but we had known each other for less than a week. When would she have had the chance to buy me a suit? But Sarah ignored my logic and turned to the salesman. We'll take one of every suit you have in the store, in his size. Please have them delivered to the Vanderbilt estate. The Hamiltons, the Millers, the Collinses, they were all well off. But none of them would ever spend money this extravagantly. Wait, I said quickly. I can't accept that. Sarah turned to me, her voice dropping to a whisper. Why not? You accepted gifts from Sophia and Rachel. If you won't accept mine, does that mean you don't like me? No, that's not it. It's just too much, and honestly, some of them aren't my style. That's fine. You could just put aside the ones you don't like. Give them away, sell them, whatever you want. Before I could protest further, Sarah had her card out and had paid for everything. She turned back to me, her beautiful face a picture of innocence. It's too late to change our minds now. People would talk. Let's just go. I sighed as the beaming salesman saw us out. Next, Sarah led me into a luxury watch boutique. See anything you like, honey? No. Back when Sophia and Rachel were still kind to me, they loved giving me gifts, but they hated it if I ever asked for anything. I had grown so used to passively receiving that I'd forgotten how to want things for myself. Sarah gave me a surprised look, then made the decision for me. In that case, we'll take one of every model over $300,000. Actually, I said quickly, I think I do like that one in the middle. I didn't have time to dwell on the past. I snapped back to the present and changed my tune. The moment the watch was boxed, I turned to Sarah. Sarah, I think I'm done shopping for today. If we didn't leave soon, I was afraid she'd buy the entire mall. If you're tired, we can go. Sarah agreed easily. But what she said next made me almost choke. I just had my assistant buy this mall in your name, she said. That way, you can come shop whenever you feel like it. You did what, Win? Just now, while you were distracted. I was speechless. I knew the Vanderbilts were wealthy, but I had no idea they were this wealthy. I had been out with Sarah for less than an hour, and somehow, I now own a shopping mall. Feeling any better? She asked as we headed home. I read online that retail therapy is a great way to relieve stress. I had to admit, it had worked. Thank you. I feel great. The trophy from the design competition arrives in 2 days. I was wondering if Mrs. Hamilton would be interested in keeping it safe for me. Really, her face lit up, her reaction more enthusiastic than when she'd bought them all. But that's your first international award. It's so important. I had never seen someone's eyes light up so brightly. I couldn't help but smile. That's why I want my wife to have it, so she can share the happiness with me. Sarah beamed, a shy blush creeping up her neck. It would be my honor. Between her physical therapy and preparing to take over the Vanderbilt Corporation, she was incredibly busy. In a short time she'd been with me, her phone had been ringing nonstop. After she finally turned it off, her assistant and several executives showed up at the house. Seeing that I was feeling better, she went to deal with her work. The sun was out, so I took some fish food out to the koi pond in the garden. Even though it was the middle of winter, the heated stone paths kept the garden warm. By the time I was done, one of the staff had brought me a glass of freshly squeezed juice. I settled into a lounge chair, sipping my juice in the sun, and opened my phone. The internet was still buzzing about Sophia, Rachel, and Ethan. Thanks to the three of them, the story had blown up, and now the internet was filled with articles about their hypocrisy. Calling what Ethan did plagiarism is too kind. He literally just submitted Daniel Hamilton's work as his own. He wins a gold medal with another man's design, and then has the audacity to accuse the real designer of plagiarism? I have never seen anyone so shameless in my life. I live next door to the Hamiltons. They treated Ethan like their own son, and in return, he tries to ruin their real son's wedding and then slanders him online. What an ungrateful monster. And those two women are even worse. What did Daniel ever do to them to make them help that scumbag try to destroy him? I can't think of anyone more disgusting than Sophia Miller and Rachel Collins. They grew up with him. One of them dated him for 7 years. And after all that time, they conspired to frame him. If he hadn't had that invisible ink trick up his sleeve, they would have ruined his life. After the initial scandal of her hotel threesome and the STD lie, Rachel's fans were already in an uproar. Now, after she had publicly lied to frame me, no amount of PR could save her. She was losing followers by the thousands, and many were now actively attacking her online. Her endorsement deals were canceled, and the film projects she had lined up all dropped her, leaving her with massive contract termination fees. It was doubtful if she had even earned enough in her entire career to cover the damages. Sophia wasn't faring any better. Her design studio was being bombarded with negative reviews. Clients were canceling their orders in droves, and her business was on the brink of collapse. On top of that, the Vanderbilts and the Hamiltons had made it clear that anyone who helped Sophia or Rachel would be considered an enemy to both our families. Now, not even their own parents would lift a finger to help them. If their parents got involved, it would become a war between four prominent families. Ethan, who had relied entirely on Sophia and Rachel, was now on his own. They couldn't even save themselves, let alone him. The Millers and the Collinses, who had once welcomed him, now demanded that their daughters cut off all contact with him permanently. When David called me to gossip, he was cackling. "You should have seen it, man." Ethan fainted during the live stream, so Rachel took him to her family's private clinic. But her mom had security literally throw him out onto the sidewalk. Then Sophia felt bad for him and tried to take him to her house, but her mom threw him out too. She called him the gold-digging leech and told Sophia that if she ever saw him again, she would disown her. We chatted for a while before hanging up. A few minutes later, another friend, Mark, called. He said he was in New York on business and wanted to grab dinner, and he gave me a time and place. We hadn't seen each other in a while, so I agreed. He had booked a private room at an upscale restaurant. Why would we need a room this big for just two people? I muttered to myself as I pushed the door open. And there they were, Sophia, Rachel, and Ethan. My face fell. I turned to leave, but Sophia grabbed my arm. "Daniel, we need to talk. We have nothing to talk about." I shook her off and tried to leave, but Rachel ran to block the door. She gave me a hard shove, her face contorted with anger. "You block us over every little thing and then air our dirty laundry to the entire world? You're unbelievable. Just because you married into the Vanderbilt family, you think you're better than us now." There was a table right behind me. I managed to twist away just in time to avoid hitting my head, but I still slammed my lower back against the corner, and a sharp pain shot through me. Ethan feigned concern. "Rachel, we all know what he's like. Just let it go. Don't get physical. We came here to make peace, remember? He's the one being a jerk," she shot back. I rubbed my aching back, in no mood to argue. "Get out of my way." Sophia frowned at me. "Daniel, I admit what we did was wrong. But you've hurt Ethan so many times in the past. You owed him. Giving him the designs was supposed to be your compensation. We all agreed on that, didn't we? How could you go behind our backs and expose the truth? When did I ever agree to that? You shamelessly stole my designs." I snapped, my anger flaring. At my words, both Sophia and Rachel looked uncomfortable. But then Ethan's eyes started to well up again. "Daniel, I was willing to let the past go. All I wanted was a few designs to make up for everything. Don't you feel any need to atone for what you've done?" Sophia's heart broke, seeing him so upset. She turned on me, her eyes flashing. "Fine, maybe we were wrong this time. But after everything you've done to him, you owe him, don't you?" Rachel jumped in. "Sophia, don't waste your breath. He's a shameless, ungrateful monster with no conscience. Daniel, you listen to me. You will drop that lawsuit, or I will tell the world every single thing you've ever done to Ethan." The accusations kept coming, one after another. It was just like the past 3 years. Ethan could always manipulate Sophia and Rachel with ease. All he had to do was frown, and they would be ready to tear me apart. Looking at their smug, self-righteous faces, I couldn't help but find it all ridiculous. You really think you're heroes, don't you? So noble and just. Well, open your damn eyes and see how your precious Ethan has been playing you for fools. With a crash, I threw the folder onto the table. I threw all the evidence my PI had just delivered that morning right at them. I had planned to mail it to them after dinner, but this saved me the postage. I also unblocked their numbers on iMessage and sent them all the video files. The sharp edges of the paper left small cuts on their faces, but neither of them seemed to notice. They stared at the scattered documents and the videos now playing on their phones, their expressions growing darker with every second. 3 years ago, Ethan came home beaten and bruised, his clothes torn. He cried and claimed his attackers had said they were teaching him a lesson on my behalf. The man they caught even confessed that I had paid him, citing their desire to keep me out of jail for my own good. Sophia and Rachel refused to involve the police, and the blame fell squarely on me. But the PI's report included photos of Ethan laughing and sharing meals with his supposed attacker on multiple occasions. It also included bank records showing a $30,000 cash withdrawal from Ethan's account and a $30,000 cash deposit into the attacker's account on the same day. 2 years ago, Ethan started setting me up in places with no security cameras or in their blind spots. Fed up, I tried to catch him by wearing a pinhole camera, but he found it. Instead of calling me out, he recorded a video of himself, making it look like he was being secretly filmed and sold it to an adult website. Then he went to Sophia and Rachel, crying that I had filmed him to get revenge, claiming I was scouting victims for deviants online. When Sophia and Rachel found the camera in my room, they screamed at me. And once again, they refused to call the police, claiming it was to protect me from going to jail. But my PI had managed to track down the website and get their payment records. Every cent earned from that video had been deposited directly into Ethan's bank account. And then there was the time Ethan fell down the stairs and claimed I pushed him. The PI found a housekeeper the Millers had fired, who admitted on camera, her face filled with shame. I saw Mr. Hayes throw himself down the stairs, but he offered me $20,000 to keep quiet. My son was getting married, and we needed the money for the dowry, so I took it and left. He wanted to give me cash, but it's a long bus ride home, and I was afraid of being robbed, so I had him wire it to my account instead. She provided a copy of the bank transfer statement. I couldn't even remember all the lies Ethan had told about me over those 3 years. Even the PI admitted that some incidents were too well hidden or too far in the past to find concrete evidence for. But what I had was more than enough to expose him. Sophia's hands trembled as she looked through the papers and watched the videos on her phone. Ethan, how could he be like this? So all this time it was all. She couldn't even finish the sentence. She couldn't bring herself to face the mistakes she had made. Rachel looked like she was about to break down. So Daniel was telling the truth all along. Ethan was lying to us this whole time. He played me for a fool, and I helped him hurt Daniel. I'm a monster. Ethan saw his game was up and made a break for the door. I grabbed him by the hair and yanked him back. Where are you going? Done playing the victim. He had spent years tormenting me, and now that the truth was out, he thought he could just walk away? Not a chance. Let go of me. It's not like I did it on purpose. If the Hamiltons had just told me from the start that I wouldn't have to marry the girl in the coma, none of this would have happened. It's all your fault. You. Before Ethan could finish his tirade, Rachel smashed a wine bottle over his head. Her eyes were wild as she lunged at him, slapping him again and again before grabbing the jagged neck of the broken bottle and lunging at him with it. You have no right to yell at Daniel, she screamed. You lied to me. You tricked me into hurting him. He suffered so much because of you, and you're still trying to make excuses? You deserve to die. Blood was streaming down Ethan's face as he cried out to Sophia. Sophia, help me. But for the first time, Sophia didn't rush to his defense. She just stared at me, her face a mess of panic and guilt, and stammered. I'm sorry, Daniel. I didn't know. I didn't know he was lying about everything. But before she could finish, Ethan's desperate cry cut her off. Sophia, help me. No matter what I did to Daniel, I never did anything to hurt you or Rachel. I saved your lives, remember? Sophia hesitated for only a second before she ran forward, pushed Rachel away, and shielded Ethan with her own body. Rachel's eyes blazed with fury. She slapped Sophia hard across the face. After everything he did to Daniel, you're still protecting him? Why? You can hit me. I won't fight back. I wronged Daniel, and I deserve it. But Ethan is right. He saved our lives. I can't just stand by and watch him get hurt. As she spoke, Sophia's eyes were locked on mine, filled with a mixture of guilt and what looked like adoration. I'm so sorry, Daniel, but please believe me. I will make this up to you. For 3 years, I had dreamed of the day I could show her the truth, the day she would stop hating me and we could be together again. But now, as she looked at me with that adoring expression, all I felt was sick to my stomach. I couldn't even speak. I felt like I was going to be sick. Are you insane or just stupid? Rachel screamed at her. That bastard has been lying to us for 3 years. He's never told the truth about anything. And you still believe he's the one who saved us? Have you lost your mind? Rachel slapped Sophia again and again. Blood trickled from the corner of Sophia's mouth, but she didn't fight back. She just continued to shield Ethan, her eyes fixed on me with that same adoring gaze. It made my stomach turn. I couldn't stand to watch this farce for another second. I pulled open the door and walked out. Daniel! The moment I stepped out, both Rachel and Sophia were there, blocking my path. But as they reached for me, someone stepped between us. Honey, are you all right? It was Sarah. Someone saw you come in here and heard shouting. Did they hurt you? She took my hand, her eyes scanning me from head to toe with worry. I'm fine, I quickly reassured her. Are you sure? Yes. Please don't meet with them alone again. I'm worried they'll hurt you. Okay, I understand. I was tricked into coming here. If I had known it was them, I never would have come. Given my history with Sophia, I didn't want Sarah to get the wrong idea, so I felt I had to explain. Sophia watched us, her face growing paler by the second. Daniel, you only married her to punish me, didn't you? Because I believed Ethan instead of you. Well, I know the truth now, so you can come back to me. You know I can't stand seeing you with another woman. Even if you want to punish me, please don't do it like this. Annoyed, I turned to Sarah. Let's go. Sophia and Rachel called after me, trying to follow, but Sarah's bodyguards blocked their path. I didn't look back. The moment we were in the car, I called Mark. Why did you lie to me? Hey, we're all friends here. It wasn't a lie. I just think it's a shame for you to throw away so many years of history with Sophia and Rachel over a little misunderstanding. Don't you agree? I think you're an idiot. I hope your girlfriend cheats on you with your best friend, and that they both conspire to ruin your life. And when you're at your lowest point, I hope you can still say it's no big deal. I hung up. In the past, I would have changed my number, deleted all my social media, and just disappeared, running away from everyone and everything. You could call it moving on, but really, it was just cowardly. But Sophia, Rachel, and Ethan had taught me that running away solves nothing. Besides, I hadn't done anything wrong. Why should I be the one to hide? I posted on my Facebook page. To be clear, I consider Sophia Miller, Rachel Collins, and Ethan Hayes to be my enemies. Anyone who, like Mark, tries to mediate will be cut out of my life. No exceptions. Beside me, Sarah kept looking at me like she wanted to say something, but was holding back. What is it? I asked, putting down my phone. She pulled up a document on her phone. My assistant just finalized the purchase of a Rolls-Royce, a Ferrari, and a Maybach for you. Will that help you feel any better? Sarah, don't you think you might have a bit of a spending problem? Really? I make money much faster than I can spend it. But if you don't like it, I'll stop. I could just transfer all my assets to your name, and you can buy whatever you want yourself. Sarah was always decisive. She immediately called her lawyer. I need you to draw up the paperwork to transfer all of my personal assets to my husband. Can you have it ready in an hour? Sorry, she's had a bit too much to drink, I said, grabbing the phone from her and hanging up. I turned to look at her. It was hard to believe that this woman, known in the business world as a brilliant and ruthless CEO, was capable of something so outrageously impulsive. Forget a billionaire. Most women with $5,000 in savings wouldn't just hand it all over to their husbands. I said, my feeling's a complicated mix. If your family found out you were planning to give me everything, they would probably kill you. Sarah's serious suggestion was, then we just won't tell them. No, thank you. I don't want people calling me a gold digger. If anyone calls you that, I'll sue them. Getting something thoughtful every now and then is much better than getting everything at once. Sarah immediately changed her mind. All right then, no transfer. She looked so serious that I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. When we got home, Sarah had 20 bodyguards waiting for me, 10 men and 10 women. Honey, pick 2 to be with you at all times, she said. It will help me worry less. Can I pick 1 man and 1 woman? I asked. Sophia had never allowed me to have any contact with other women, whether professionally or personally, and Rachel had felt the same way. I had been so isolated, I honestly didn't know if all women were that possessive. Sarah, however, was completely unfazed. Of course, pick whoever you're most comfortable with. The first one in the second row looks a bit like that actress you like, don't you think? Or if you like more than one, you can pick a few and they can rotate shifts. You don't mind? Why would I? I trust you. And frankly, I have confidence in myself. If any woman could just come along and steal you away, then I'd have to wonder what's wrong with me. I looked at Sarah, surprised, and then a smile broke across my face. I had thought this arranged marriage would be a miserable experience. Now, I wasn't so sure. After getting my security details sorted, Sarah went to attend to her work. That evening, she took me out to dinner to meet some of her friends. Nice to meet you, man. Here, a little welcome gift. Hey, brother-in-law, you're even more handsome in person. That watch I picked out is going to look great on you. Sarah mentioned that most of your friends are back in LA and you don't know many people here yet. She was worried you'd be bored when she's busy. If you're ever looking for something to do, just give me a call. I'm always free. Me too. I know all the best spots in New York. A whole group of them, men and women, crowded around, all incredibly friendly. A scene like this was completely foreign to me. Sophia had forbidden me from interacting with any woman besides Rachel, and she even got jealous if I spent too much time with my male friends. As a result, I technically knew her friends, but it was on a name-only basis. Nothing like this. Sarah's friends were all talking to me at once. She wasn't worried about them getting too close. In fact, she was telling them about my hobbies and interests, helping me break the ice. I thought I would feel awkward being thrown into a group of strangers, but Sarah's friends were warm without being overbearing. I found myself actually enjoying their company. I quickly relaxed and happened to turn and look at Sarah, only to find her already looking at me. She was watching me with such focus, as if I were the only person in the room. For some reason, my heart skipped a beat. When the dinner was over, Sarah and I said our goodbyes and left. But the moment we stepped out of the hotel, Sophia was there. She rushed towards us, and the moment she saw Sarah's hand in mine, the guilt and panic in her eyes hardened into rage. Daniel, even if you married her just to spite me, you shouldn't be so intimate with her. You know how much this hurts me. I cut her off coldly. Stop being so delusional. Why on earth would you think I'd still want you after you cheated on me with Ethan and helped him torment me for years? You disgust me. Sophia rushed to explain. I swear I didn't cheat on you. We only went to the hotel that day because he spilled something on his clothes. Nothing happened between us, and I'm not sick. I only helped him because he tricked me. I never had feelings for him. I'm sorry. I know I hurt you, and that's why you married her, to punish me. But I know the truth now, and I'm cutting him out of my life. You made your point. It's time to divorce her and come back to me. She reached for me again, and I forcefully pushed her hand away. Just give it up, Sophia. I don't love you anymore. I have a wife now. The only relationship we have is that of plaintiff and defendant. Sophia's eyes reddened. I get it. You're just saying that because you're disappointed that I still defended Ethan. But he saved my life. I can't just turn my back on him. Besides, all his lies only ever ended up hurting himself, didn't they? Why can't you just let it go? Rachel and her bodyguards beat him so badly he's disfigured with several broken ribs. He's still in the hospital, unable to even get out of bed. Hasn't he suffered enough? Just 1 month ago, my feelings for her were a tangled mess of love and hate that drove me to despair. Now all I could think was, how was I ever so blind? How could I have ever loved this person? If you can't understand plain English, then there's nothing more to say. I didn't even look at her as I took Sarah's hand. Let's go, honey. Only after the word was out did I realize what I'd said. It felt a little awkward. Thankfully, Sarah didn't tease me, just squeezed my hand and said warmly, okay. Daniel, how can you call her that? Sophia cried after us. We've known each other for 25 years. We were together for 7. You can't just throw all that away and fall in love with someone else, right? Daniel, her face ashen, Sophia tried to follow us, but a single glance from Sarah was enough for the bodyguards to block her path. Over the next few weeks, Sophia kept trying to approach me, but the bodyguards always intercepted her. She was finally starting to realize that I hadn't married Sarah out of spite. I had truly moved on. That was when she truly began to panic. Even as the guards held her back, she screamed at me, losing all composure. I'm sorry, Daniel. It was all my fault. But Ethan tricked me. I never meant to hurt you. He saved my life. I couldn't just betray him. But I swear, I'm done with him now. From now on, I'll never doubt you again, no matter what anyone says. Please, Daniel, just give me one more chance. Sophia had always seemed so gentle and approachable on the surface, but underneath she was proud and had never once humbled herself before anyone. This was the first time she had ever truly, sincerely apologized to me and begged for my forgiveness. But it didn't matter anymore. Sophia, however, refused to give up and continued to harass me. But since I ignored her, there was little she could do. Rachel, on the other hand, was a different story. She had always been willing to go to extremes. When Sarah and I attended a charity gala, Rachel was there, kneeling on the pavement right where our car stopped. A crowd had gathered, filming her with their phones. Her face was bright red with humiliation, but she didn't move. Daniel, I was a goddamn idiot, she cried out. I was a fool to believe that bastard Ethan's lies, to misunderstand you and hurt you for 3 whole years. I was stupid and cruel, and I'm so sorry. You have every right to hate me. I deserve it. But I always thought of you as my real brother. Please don't ignore me. Yell at me. Hit me. Do whatever you want to get back at me. Just please talk to me. Rachel screamed her apologies at the top of her lungs. I ignored her and started to walk away, but she began to crawl after me on her knees. Daniel, please. If you won't hit me because you think I'm not worth it, I'll do it myself. She started slapping her own face over and over until her cheeks were swollen and the corner of her mouth started to bleed. Without a backward glance, I walked into the hotel with Sarah. When we left later that night, Rachel was still kneeling there. When I got home, she was kneeling outside my front door. Just as Sophia had harassed me for weeks, Rachel kept up this self-punishment for weeks on end. Eventually, her body gave out. She collapsed and was taken to the hospital. Her parents called, begging me to visit her in the hospital. I refused. The next day, Mr. and Mrs. Collins, along with Sophia's mother, came to my house. I could go the rest of my life without ever speaking to Sophia and Rachel again, but their parents had raised me. I couldn't just turn them away. Daniel, Mrs. Collins began, we've heard about what happened between you and the girls. We know it was their fault. You have every right to be angry, to never speak to them again. But please, don't press charges. If they go to prison, their lives will be ruined. Yes, Mrs. Miller added. No matter what's happened, it shouldn't come to this. You three grew up together. You were like family. Please, we're begging you, Mr. Collins said. For the sake of the years we cared for you, please, show them some mercy. Don't be so absolute. They spoke one after another, not giving me a chance to get a word in. I waited until they had all finished before I spoke. You were all very good to me, and I have never forgotten your kindness. That is the only reason the Hamiltons and the Vanderbilts have not directed their anger at your families. And I want to be clear on this. I saved Rachel's and Sophia's lives. In return, Rachel kicked me into a pool and left me to drown. As for everything else Sophia has done to me, the fact that I haven't pressed charges for those things is a testament to how much I valued our past. The parents left with heavy sighs. 2 days later, we were in court. Ethan had a long, fresh scar down his face, and he looked pale and unsteady on his feet. Rachel glared at him and lunged, trying to attack him. Even with a bailiff and Sophia holding her back, she still managed to land a few kicks. Sophia, trying to shield Ethan, ended up getting slapped and kicked herself. But she ignored it, calling out to me across the courtroom. Daniel, I'm only protecting him because he saved my life. I swear I don't have feelings for him. Rachel screamed at her. You're still a fucking idiot, still believing he saved you. No wonder Daniel doesn't want you. You and that bastard deserve each other. You were never good enough for Daniel. I must have been crazy to ever think you were. When the trial was over, Rachel was sentenced to 18 months. Sophia and Ethan each got 2 years. They were also ordered to pay me $1 million in damages. As they were led away, Ethan was wailing. I don't accept this. The designs still belong to Daniel. I'm the one getting all the hate online. He hasn't lost a thing. Why should I be the one going to prison? But his protests were useless as he was led away. Rachel looked at me and said, I deserve this. Don't you dare feel bad about it. Sophia gazed at me with adoration. I'm sorry, Daniel. I'll pay for what I did. As long as it makes you feel better, it's worth it. I ignored them both and left the courthouse with Sarah. She was incredibly disciplined, never missing a physical therapy session, no matter how busy or exhausted she was. But one day, when the pain was too much, she came to me. Honey, can you just hold me for a minute? What's wrong? I asked. Therapy was just really painful today. Your doctor told me you've been pushing yourself harder than anyone. You don't have to rush your recovery so much. Yes, I do. I want to get better as soon as possible. Then you won't have to be alone, and I can take care of you for a change. We still hadn't known each other for very long, and I wasn't quite used to such an intimate gesture as a hug. But Sarah was so good to me, I couldn't possibly refuse such a small request. I walked over and put my arms around her. The moment I did, her whole body went rigid. She was even more nervous than I was. I couldn't help but let out a small laugh. And just like that, my own awkwardness vanished. Don't laugh at me, she mumbled into my chest. I've had a crush on you for 10 years. I finally married my dream guy, and now he's hugging me. This is a perfectly normal reaction. She hugged me tighter, her voice muffled as she protested. It was the first time anyone had ever called me their dream guy to my face. I stopped laughing, a faint heat rising in my cheeks. After that day, Sarah started asking for hugs more and more often. At first, she was still shy and hesitant about it, and I felt a little awkward myself. But over time, it became natural. As she grew stronger and left the wheelchair behind, she would often sit on my lap with her arms around my neck, and it felt completely normal. That is, until her cousin Emily walked in on us one day and turned beet red. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm interrupting. I'll come back later. It was only then that I realized just how intimate we had become. I stood up awkwardly. No, it's fine. Did you need something? Yeah, my grandparents just got back from their trip and sent over a bunch of gifts for you too. They're resting now, so they asked me to bring them by. Emily had the staff bring in the packages. As she was leaving, she gave us a teasing look. You know, my cousin is always posting about you on her Facebook and TikTok, but you never like or comment. We were all starting to worry things weren't going well. But after seeing you two just now, I can tell we had nothing to worry about. She doesn't post anything, I said, pulling up Sarah's Facebook and TikTok profiles on my phone. They were completely blank. Emily looked shocked. Yes, she does. She pulled out her own phone and showed me her screen. Look, the post was from Sarah. My husband wore the custom suit I bought him today and turned every head in the room. Men and women were staring. Be jealous. He's all mine. It was a grid of 9 photos, all of me in that suit. The next post read, my husband's sunbathing after feeding the koi. The light hits his face just right. He looks like he's glowing. How did I get so lucky to marry an angel? Another 9-photo grid. This time of me relaxing on a lounge chair. Another post. It's winter break. I remember the first time I ever saw him was during winter break in the 7th grade. It was love at first sight. All these years later, my dream guy is my husband. I'm the luckiest woman alive. It was a collage of photos of me from middle school through college, ending with a recent picture from her grandfather's birthday party. Why had she taken all these pictures of me? I was about to scroll further, but a delicate hand reached over and gently took the phone from me. I turned to see Sarah's face, bright red. Don't look at those, she mumbled. I frowned. Why am I the only one who can't see these posts? I was afraid you'd think I was annoying, she whispered, barely looking at me. I'm not. It was a little embarrassing, sure, but I didn't dislike it. Sarah's posture straightened, and her voice was stronger. Really, don't hide them from me anymore. Okay. From the doorway, Emily started making teasing noises. Sarah shot her a blushing glare, which only made her cousin laugh harder. 6 months later, Sarah decided we were ready for our honeymoon. That night was the first time we had ever shared a bedroom. She came out of the bathroom wrapped in just a towel, her skin still damp. Droplets of water traced paths down her collarbone before disappearing beneath the terry cloth. As she walked toward the bed, the towel slipped, revealing the deep curve of her breasts. We had grown very close over the past 6 months. She would often sit in my lap, and we shared kisses. But this was the first time I had ever seen her so undressed. I took one look and felt my ears burn. We should get some sleep. Good night, I said quickly, pulling back the covers to get into bed. But I wasn't fast enough. Sarah slipped under the covers and into my arms, tilting her head up to look at me. Don't you think I'm beautiful, honey? She whispered. I was forced to look down at her. Her hair was still damp from the shower. Her eyes seemed to shimmer, and her lips were a deep, natural red. She looked like a siren. Her direct gaze made my heart hammer in my chest, and my hand on her waist grew slick with sweat. You are beautiful. Then why won't you look at me? She murmured, biting her lower lip. Look at me, please. No man on earth could have resisted. I lowered my head and kissed her. One by one, our clothes fell to the floor. As our skin touched, the corners of her eyes reddened with a pained pleasure, and her voice, sweet and thick, made my heart ache. It's okay, Daniel. You can. A year and a half later, Sarah was pregnant. One morning, as she was suffering from another bout of morning sickness in a bathroom, our housekeeper called to me. Mr. Hamilton, you should see this woman outside. She's acting very strangely. Should I call security? I glanced out the window. The woman looked familiar, but I couldn't place her at first. Then I realized who it was. Rachel. She was out of prison. She was so much thinner, and her hair was cut short to her neck. She looked completely different. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. Daniel, I looked away. Just ignore her, I told the housekeeper. No one paid her any mind, but she came back every day, looking more and more dejected each time. Whenever I had to leave the house, she would be there, blocking my way, kneeling on the ground in repentance. I've spent the last 18 months thinking about what I did. I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm so sorry. I never should have believed Ethan over you. I never should have hurt you for his sake. I regret it. I haven't stopped regretting it for a single moment. Believe it or not, I always saw you as my little brother. I can accept that you're married now, that you've moved on. I'll do anything to atone for what I did. But please, can you just talk to me? I can't stand you hating me like this. I looked down at her, my voice flat. 3 years ago, after I saved you and Sophia from that flood, I nearly drowned. I've been terrified of water ever since. And yet, you kicked me into a swimming pool and watched me sink. If you were in my shoes, could you forgive yourself? Rachel looked at me, her face a mask of agony. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak, but no words came out. Her eyes filled with bloodshot veins, and tears streamed down her cheeks. I just watched her coldly. If you have any conscience at all, you'll stop coming here. Not every I'm sorry deserves a you're forgiven. Sarah had finished being sick, so I helped her into the car for her prenatal appointment. As we drove away, I could hear a gut-wrenching sob from behind us. Rachel didn't come back. A few days later, her mother called me, crying. Daniel, Rachel tried to kill herself. They just managed to save her. Can you please come see her? I'm begging you. I didn't say yes or no. I just said, I've often wondered, if I hadn't given in when Rachel attempted suicide all those years ago, if I'd just gone home with my parents, would any of this have ever happened? Mrs. Collins didn't say anything else. She just hung up, sobbing. The day Ethan and Sophia were released from prison was the day my son was born. I had arranged for someone to keep an eye on Ethan, planning my revenge for when he got out. But I never got the chance. The day he was released, he was beaten nearly to death by a group of thugs. A week later, he nearly drowned after falling into a pond. 2 weeks after that, videos of him with a series of unattractive women appeared on an adult website. A month later, he accidentally fell down a flight of stairs and was left paralyzed from the waist down. Ethan called the police, and Rachel was arrested. She was facing a 10-year sentence. Once a rising star, now a 2-time convict, she was swarmed by reporters. Rachel faced the cameras, perfectly calm. In the past, I let that bastard trick me into hurting my brother. I had to make it right. For every lie he told about my brother, I made it a reality for him. He deserved every bit of it. I saw the interview clip online, but I only watched a few seconds before turning it off. During the 2 years Sophia was in prison, her mother brought her illegitimate son into the family business, giving him Sophia's position. After her release, Sophia was consumed with fighting her half-brother for control. It wasn't until after Rachel paralyzed Ethan that she finally came to confront me, furious. Yes, Ethan and Rachel and I wronged you, but we serve our time. We paid our debt. So why are you still going after Ethan? He hurt you. Yes, but he saved my life and Rachel's. How could you encourage Rachel to betray him like that, to cripple him? Don't you think you've gone too far? I watched her hysterical rant, feeling nothing. First, I never encouraged Rachel to do anything. Second, why don't you open your eyes and see who really saved you? I pulled up a link my PI had sent me and held out my phone. It was a small, local news article from 3 years ago about a heroic rescue during the flash flood. The article had a few blurry photos. One of them was unmistakably of me, pulling Sophia from the water. The story had never gained any traction. My PI had only stumbled upon it by chance. If I wasn't so sick of her harassing me, I never would have bothered showing it to her. Sophia stared at the photo, and all the strength seemed to leave her body. She crumpled to the floor like a puppet with its strings cut. "Ow, how is this possible?" she whispered. "Ethan said he saved me. He said you ran away. Why would he lie about this too? How could he have made such a fool out of me?" I ignored her and walked away. But she scrambled to her feet and ran after me. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I was a fool. Ethan tricked me about everything. I was wrong. You have every right to hate me. But I regret it so much now. I'll make it up to you, I swear. Please, just come back to me." "Honey, the baby's crying," Sarah's voice called from inside the house. We had a nanny, and both my parents and my in-laws were visiting. It was never my turn to get the baby. She was clearly calling me just to make a point, but I played along. "I'm coming." Sophia looked as if she'd been physically struck. "Oh, you have a child with her?" "Daniel, after all our years together, you can just forget about me like that. Think about everything you've done," I said, "and then ask yourself that question again. Don't you see how ridiculous you sound?" But I didn't mean to. I was tricked." Sophia covered her face, tears leaking through her fingers. I didn't give her a second glance as I signaled for the bodyguards to escort her off the property. Not long after, Ethan, paralyzed and alone, starved to death in his small apartment. When his body was discovered, they found he had resorted to eating his own waste. Sophia had been with him when he died. I heard she had a complete mental breakdown and her mother had her committed. I learned all of this on the day of my son's 100-day celebration party. "Giving birth is so painful and dangerous," I said, holding our son and kissing Sarah's forehead. "Don't listen to our parents. We're not having any more." She had suffered so much during the delivery. People joked that childbirth made some women lose their looks, but it had only made Sarah more beautiful, giving her a new kind of glow. All I could feel was sympathy for the pain she'd endured. "Whatever my husband says," she murmured. "Good girl," I whispered back. "They say it's always darkest before the dawn." It felt like all my bad luck had finally run its course. Sophia's epilogue: my parents divorced when I was very young. My mother was always in my ear, telling me stories about my father's affairs. "Your father was always involved with other women," she'd say. In the end, he married his own stepsister. I was such a fool to believe him when he said they were just friends, just like siblings. There's no such thing as a platonic friendship between a man and a woman. You remember this, my daughter. When you have a boyfriend, you have to watch him like a hawk. Don't let him get close to any other woman. If you do, he'll leave you, just like your father left me. She repeated it so often I could recite it by heart. Before I ever fell in love, I just resented my father. But later, as Daniel grew more handsome and talented, and I realized my feelings for him, my mother's words became a waking nightmare. Before we were even a couple, I joined Rachel in using our sisterly status to chase away any other girl who tried to get close to him. Once we were together, I was jealous if he even spoke to another woman, if he smiled at them. Even though he did as I asked and kept his distance, I was still consumed by a gnawing insecurity. He was just too perfect. Even as an orphan, his talent and good looks drew people to him like moths to a flame. Whether he was on a stage or just walking through a room, all eyes were on him. I couldn't stand the way they looked at him, couldn't bear the thought of them wanting him. I tried to keep him from attending any public events unless it was absolutely necessary. I checked his phone constantly, deleting any woman's number I found. Daniel fought with me about it. I couldn't understand. I only do it because I love you so much. Why can't you see that? I'm a woman. I know what those girls are thinking. They want you. Is it so wrong to not want other women lusting after my boyfriend? Why was he so angry? It was just his phone, just a few deleted numbers. Did it mean he didn't love me as much as I loved him? Was he interested in someone else? The thought terrified me. Thankfully, Rachel and our families all took my side, and Daniel started to believe he was the one in the wrong. He did as I asked. He avoided other women, didn't take their numbers. I should have felt secure, but I didn't. Daniel stayed away from other women. But Rachel was the exception. We had all grown up together, and he loved her as much as he loved me. I wanted to get rid of her just like all the others, but I couldn't. Our family has business with the Collinses. My mother warned me. Don't do anything stupid. She was right. The Millers and the Collinses were close. Rachel and I were supposed to be best friends, but the Collins family had more influence than mine. I had to stay on her good side. I couldn't push her away. I watched Daniel and Rachel laugh together, eat together, go to haunted houses together, share secrets. It was driving me insane. Rachel had known me my whole life. She sensed my hostility. She confronted me about it. I see Daniel as a brother. Stop being so damn jealous all the time. Of course not, I said with a smile, while silently cursing her. To hell with her brotherly love. They weren't related by blood. What kind of siblings were they? There was no such thing as a platonic friendship. I wanted her gone. I wanted it so badly. But all I could do was think about it and endure. Seeing her constantly by his side was making me lose my mind. Then came a flash flood. I woke up on the riverbank to hear Rachel screaming at Ethan. You saved us. And Daniel just ran away? I've raised dogs more loyal than that ungrateful bastard. All the resentment and insecurity I had bottled up for years exploded in that moment. I knew it. Daniel didn't really love me. If he truly loved me, he never would have left me. I hated him. After everything I had done for him, after how much I loved him, how could he betray me like that? Rachel and I tried to confront him, but he wouldn't answer his phone, and none of his friends knew where he was. He was a coward, too guilty to even face us. When he finally showed up 2 weeks later, he was still making excuses, claiming Ethan had stolen his glory, that he'd gotten pneumonia from the rescue. It just confirmed what my mother had always said. Men are nothing but manipulative liars. I hated Daniel, but I couldn't let him go. So when he acted out of jealousy and bullied Ethan, I would punish him, but I could never bring myself to turn him over to the police. I thought I was being lenient, that I was protecting him. I never imagined he would just go and marry someone else. I was angry, but not worried. I told myself he was just trying to make me jealous. But then he and Sarah grew closer, and he threw that folder of evidence in my face. It turned out Ethan had been lying. About everything. Even about saving us. That was when I truly started to panic. I tried to explain, to apologize, believing that if I could just make him understand, we could still have a future. I thought he had only left because I'd pushed him too far, that if I changed, he would come back to me. But then Sarah called from inside the house. Honey, the baby's crying. A baby. They had a child together. There was no future for us. Daniel had made his choice long ago. I went home in a daze, only to find that my mother had made her own final decision. She was leaving the company to her illegitimate son. How laughable. I had spent my entire life hating my father because of her words. And it turned out she was a cheater too. I wasn't my father's priority, and I wasn't hers either. A storm was raging outside, thunder and lightning, and I ran out into the pouring rain. I didn't have time to dodge the truck. I died, but then I opened my eyes and I was back. Back on the day of the flash flood. Rachel was there, screaming in a rage. You saved us, and Daniel just ran away? I've raised dogs more loyal than that ungrateful bastard. I ran over and slapped Ethan across the face. Shut up, I yelled at Rachel. You'll believe anything anyone tells you. Daniel would never do that. Rachel stared at me, stunned. My body ached, but my heart was soaring. Daniel, this time, I won't let you go. Rachel's epilogue, I served 10 years. The day I got out, I heard Sophia had lost her mind. I went to the psychiatric hospital to see her once. She looked healthy, almost the same as she used to, but she was always talking nonsense. Rachel, you're here, she said brightly. In my new life, I did right by Daniel. You have to do right by him too. I just had her second child, you know. Aren't you jealous? You could be the godmother, if you like. She was living in a fantasy world of her own making.